This is Ferdinand, the cardboard stacker, for how to play Cruise of Eridanus, a competitive space adventure from Dakota Ridge Games. This game was designed by Stedman Watson. A game of Cruise of Eridanus plays 1 to 6 players for ages 14 and up and around 2 hours. You're watching our rulebook video, and this video is divided into chapters. You can scroll across the scrubber bar and jump right onto the section you like to learn. You can also find the list of chapters in the description. If you have a question or something nice to say, put it in the comment section below. And it would be a wonderful and tremendous help if you can give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks! The Esmar system, a once bustling interstellar commerce, has been set back by the destruction of the Stargate, along with the rise of the black market and the attacks of pirates. There might be hints that an unseen enemy might be behind this. Some speculate it was a rogue artificial intelligence computer. You and your crew are now tasked with a mission. Help the system get back to normal by dealing with the pirates and gather clues to find and shut down the unseen menace once and for all. Let's set up a game of Cruise of Eridanus. For this demonstration, we'll take the explanation as a 2-player game. Let's determine the first player order with a simple die roll between players. Roll a d6, and the player with the higher number goes first, then re-roll any times as needed. Now place the board in the center of the play area. Players select a ship card out of the 6 available and place a matching Corvette ship token on an empty hex, one that does not contain an illustration, on the inside of the interior system boundary, the dashed orange line. Next, let's place the pirate tokens. Shuffle the pirates face down. With 3 or fewer players, the players take turns placing 4 pirate tokens face down. The pirate tokens are placed in the spawn hexes. 2 additional pirates will be placed on space stations. Roll the d6 for each of them and place them on the appropriate results. Find the 8 wreck locations and randomly place a wreck token on each of them. For games of 3 or fewer players, place 6 on the board. Shuffle the 8 anomaly tokens face down and randomly place 1 in each of the hexes. It's time to pick your starting crew. Find and reveal all 8 captain cards. Starting with the player to the right of the first player, each picks a captain until all the players have selected one. Return the other captains to the box. Then shuffle the crew cards and then reveal the first 10 cadets. Same as before, the next player selects and takes a cadet. Return any remaining cadets to the deck of the other crew and shuffle it. Take the 8 space station cards and create 8 piles by placing each space station face down. Shuffle the 8 station master cards and deal 1 face down on each pile. Shuffle the 16 station tech cards and deal 2 cards face down on each pile. Take the crew cards also with the remaining cadet cards and shuffle them. Completely deal out crew cards face down onto the piles. It's alright if a few piles have an extra card. Now flip each pile so that the space station card is on top. For now, set a space to space station piles occupied by the 2 pirates on the board. Each station pile is available to look through. The order of the cards doesn't matter too much, but keep the station card on top of the station master next. Now shuffle the discovery, event, mining, and passenger cards. Place these near the board. The cargo cards don't need to be shuffled but should be placed near the board too. Players now decide the length of the game. For a shorter game, 12 rounds. For a normal game, 16 rounds. And for a longer game, 20 rounds. Place the mothership token on the round agreed on the tracker. Then place the round tracker token on location 1 and the phase indicator token on its pirate side. Next, give each player a pile of 6 different ship combat cards. These are SC-01 and SC-06. Return any unused player ship combat cards to the box. set aside the NPC ship combat cards, which are SC07 to SC012. There should be 3 piles. Each player now receives 6 supply tokens and place them on their ship's card. Next, give each player 3 action tokens. Use these to keep track of your actions during your turn. Finally, give each player 400 credits in paper money, which can be spent on hiring additional crew, cargo, supplies, and upgrades. Alright, that takes care of setup. The objective is certain for this game. Destroy the rogue AI before it can cause more damage to the system. This is done in several ways. Find, open, and board the secret base using the software key tech item. Bring aboard the computer virus tech item to the secret base and use it when the rogue AI reappears in the system. Another is to successfully board the NPC mothership and bring the computer virus tech item on board. And another is to destroy the mothership itself in combat. With the rogue AI destroyed, players now compare their total victory points from morale they converted, crew they hired, engaged in ship combat, and other sources. While one player can win, all players can lose if the mothership moves close enough to attack any space station. The flow of gameplay works like this. It's either going to be the pirate phase or the normal phase. If there are 4 or more pirates on the board, it's currently the pirate phase. This means that at the end of each of your movements, roaming pirate ships in the same sector will follow you. When there are 3 or fewer pirates, then it will be a normal phase and pirates don't give chase. When the game reaches the round marked with the mothership, the end phase is triggered and the mothership appears on the board. We'll talk more about this later. The game begins with the start player. They will keep track 3 actions, keeping track by flipping their action tokens. After they have completed their actions or wish not to take any more, they flip their action tokens and the turn passes to the next player. Now let's talk about our actions. One of the basic actions you can take is moving. You move to different parts of the board to get stuff done, like trading at space stations, navigating through asteroids, and running away from pirates. You may only take 1 movement action per turn. A normal move gives you 4 movement points. You don't have to use all your movement points, but leftover movement points are not carried over to the next turn. You may also split your move action, but if you stop to take another action, you must spend 1 movement point to continue moving again. Normally, it costs your movement point to move your ship to the next hex. If you want to move through a hazardous asteroid hex, you must make a navigation check and risk damaging your ship. When you enter an asteroid space, roll a d6 and add the result to 1 chosen crew member with a navigation ability and any other navigation bonuses you may have. Then for the asteroid, roll a d6 and add its result to its risk level. Call it orange on the hex. Compare the 2 results. If your result is equal or higher than the risk level, then you made it without a scratch. If it's lower, then your ship takes damage equal to the hex's risk level. Alternatively, you can use 2 movement points to slowly move through an asteroid hex to avoid this check. A few special hexes has a risk of solar flares. For these, you must make a navigation check. These hazards cannot be avoided by going half speed. If it's currently the pirate phase when you are done moving, the pirates give chase. Pirates that are not on a station and are in the same space sector while you ended your movement will move 2 hexes towards you or stop once it becomes 1 hex space away and attacks. When the pirate ship attacks you, if it isn't flipped, flip it and the player to your right finds the matching pirate ship cards and proceeds to combat as them. If you are in one range of a pirate ship when you move, your turn is interrupted and a pirate ship attacks you. We'll cover rules of combat later on. Also, destroyed and boarded NPC ships are removed from the board. Add damage tokens on top of any damaged NPC ships as a reminder. As an action, you can use a gravity boost space to gain an extra 4 movement points. This can be done while you split your movement. If you like to quickly move across the system, you can use the jump portals. These require that you spend 1 supply token to access the portal, then you can continue movement, and both spaces are treated as the same hex. You can stack your ship with other ships to band together. To stack, move your ship to another player's ship or stack on the same hex and place your ship's token on top of that. The maximum number of ships that can be stacked is 3. A stack formation of 2 ships gets 2 movement points. Once players have made a stack, their stack movement action ends. On the following turns, each player with their ship in that stack can move their entire stack. With 2 ships, 2 movement points are given to each player in their stack. With a stack of 3 ships, each player may use 1 movement point during their turn. For example, with 2 stacked ships, the band can move up to 4 hexes per round, 2 during the first player's turn and 2 during the second player's turn. No agreements needs to be made between players, and a player may also move out of a stack and continue normal movement. If you are 1 hex away from a pirate or another player's ship, you can attack them and go into combat. Your ship is represented with a ship token and its card. Let's take a closer look at your ship card. First, on the lower right, it shows the maximum number of cargo and passengers it can hold, the number of crew it can take, 5 biological and 1 AI. There's also a spot to place supplies. During the game, there will be parts and items that can be upgraded to give your crew special abilities. On the top right are the hull points of the ship, the amount of damage it can take. If your ship takes an equal or greater amount of damage than its hull points, it is destroyed. If a ship is destroyed, all things with that ship, crew, tech, artifacts, and treasures are removed from the game. Whenever an NPC or a player attacks, it initiates combat. You need to be within 1 hex to make this action. Combat can also be initiated if a player moves within 1 hex from a pirate, drone, or mothership. Ship combat makes use of combat pattern cards, which you and the opponents uses against each other. Ship combat lasts a number of rounds depending on the class of ships you're going up against. 1 combat round for a small Ursan drone, 2 combat rounds for pirates and player ships, and 3 combat rounds for the mothership. After combat, keep your combat patterns cards face up. You need to spend 1 unit of supplies in order to use them again. If you're up against multiple ships, you can only target 1 of those ships, but your ship will be the target of those in range. For stacked ships, each player in the stack can attack. When an NPC attacks a stack, use a d6 to determine which player is being attacked during each round of combat. This is how combat works. First, each player gathers their combat pattern cards. The player should have their own set while the other player will be using their own, or the player to the right will use the NPC's pile of combat pattern cards. Each player will select a card in advance for each round they will be playing. So if playing a 2 combat round, the player places 2 of their cards face down and the other player places 2 of their cards face down. Next, pair up the cards for the first and second combat round. The pair in the first round flips to see if either ship hits. Each combat pattern is represented as a letter. A for alpha, B for beta, etc. The top of the card tells you which pattern it can hit and which it will miss. The bottom tells you which cards can hit you if you played this pattern. In this example, Alpha can hit Foxtrot, but Foxtrot misses Alpha. In this other example, Charlie and Delta both hit each other. As a reminder, you need to recharge your weapons by spending 1 unit of supplies after a combat action. Otherwise, your weapons will not be ready for the next hostile encounter. When the matchup happens, the receiving end takes damage to their ship's hull in the difference of tactical ability. Do so by finding the difference of the overall tactical ability points of each side's crew, including bonuses from artifacts and tech. The maximum number of damage that can be received is 7. The minimum number of damage that can be received is 1, even if the tactical value is lower than 0. Note the combat is simultaneous. Both sides can potentially deal damage to the other side during each round of combat. If one ship is destroyed, it still has a chance to hit the other if the combat round has not been completed. If you defeat another player, you receive victory points listed on their card. If you defeat an NPC, you receive credit equal to the bounty and victory points listed on the ship card. If you play combat pattern Foxtrot, that means you are attempting to board a ship. Add up the melee ability and compare to see if the boarding was a success. Melee points come from all crew, artifacts, tech, and other bonuses. If one crew is larger in number than another crew, it gains an additional point to their melee. If the melee outcome is within 1 point of each other, then the boarding was not successful. Each non-NPC crew's player rolls a d6 to distribute damage among their crew. If there was a clear winner of a boarding attempt with one player having 2 or more melee points than the other side, the boarding was a success. Note that only players are able to board an opponent's vessel. When an NPC plays Foxtrot, it is simply another combat pattern that can cause hull damage to an opponent if successful. If you defeat an NPC ship in combat, the spoils you gain are listed on the ship's card. If you defeat another player's ship, refer to the combat section of the rulebook. After combat, you can spend 1 unit of supplies to recharge your ship's weapons and pick up your ship combat cards. While losing your ship can be terrible, you are still in the game with a fresh start. First, take a captain that was not in the game. The player can respawn their old crew but with 1 less crew member. Player's choice. Load their ship with 6 supply tokens and 600 credits. Place their ship token on an empty hex within the inner system. The player loses their next turn and then proceeds playing the game as normal. During the course of the game, you will receive damage to your crew and your ship. When using the heal action for biological crew members, remove a unit of supplies and reduce your ship of a crew by using 1 crew member's healing ability. When using the repair action for your ship's hull or AI crew member, remove a unit of supplies and reduce the damage of the hull or AI crew member by 1 crew member's repair ability. There are also notable points throughout the board in which you can use an action for some interaction. You may also simply skip a location action and move on. Here are the places you can interact with. Explore wreck locations that are covered by a wreck token and draw a discovery card. If you're on an asteroid hex, you can mine by drawing a mine card as an action. You may mine the same location multiple times. There are 8 anomaly locations where you can make a survey. On there, you can move onto an anomaly token and secretly look at these 3 possible outcomes. 0. Nothing of interest. Put it back. E. Event. Reveal and remove the token and draw an event card. X. You found the secret base. Put it back and see if you can get those special tech cards to win the game. for trading and hiring crew. The space station is where you'll spend most of your time. If you would like to visit a space station, you must be on the same hex as it. If there is a pirate ship at the space station, it must be removed in order to interact with that station. As a reminder, you can always look through a station's card pile. At the station, for one action, you can do any one or all of the following. For trading, you can see what cargoes the station master is selling and buying and the price for each in credits. For tech and artifacts, you can buy these cards here with credits and place them with your other cards. When selling, receive your credits and place your sold items into the space station pile. For healing, you can pay the cost to heal one or more biological crew members. For repair, you can pay the cost to repair your ship or AI crew members. Also at the space station, you can hire and dismiss crew and obtain passenger missions. To hire crew, pay their hiring costs and add them to the rest of your crew. To dismiss a crew, lower your morale by 1 and place the crew member into the space station pile. Your morale can't go negative. For passenger missions, draw a passenger card. If you got one in the same station that you are in, return it and draw again. If you draw a passenger card you do not like, you may return it and shuffle the pile. If you do accept the passenger mission, then place a passenger token on your ship card. Once you've reached where the passenger wants to go, remove the token from your ship, collect the credits listed on the passenger card, and remove the passenger card from the game. Let's take a look at your crew. Each crew member card can come with one or more abilities. Combat abilities of crew are additive, and other abilities, navigation, repair, healing, and mining, can be used by one crew member at a time. All crew will have a cost, title, health points, and some provide victory points at the end of the game. Some will even have special abilities, which can be activated and take an action to use or are passive and always are available. You are only allowed 5 biological crew and 1 AI crew. Biological crew come in different species, while AI crew come in different forms: robot, computer systems, and holographic entities. If a crew has damage equal or greater than the number listed, they die. If they die, any items they had can be redistributed, and then their card is removed from the game. Two things a captain must manage and keep in mind: morale and supplies. Let's talk about morale. At certain points of the game, morale can be converted into victory points. This happens every 5 rounds. The way to earn morale is from the ability of your crew and boarding a ship successfully. The way to lose morale is losing to a boarding, dismissing crew, using morale to make up for the lack of supplies, and other parts of the game. Supplies keep you going in the vast final frontier. The main way you get supplies is from mining, purchasing from space stations, and players. Supply tokens are placed on your ship cards. Supplies can heal crew, repair your ship, recharge weapons, dismiss crew, and jump from one portal to another. It can be terrible to run out of supplies. You can give up 1 morale to use as 1 supply. Once the round tracker reaches the final determined round, the end phase will trigger. If the secret base is not yet revealed, then first reveal all anomaly tokens. Then place the secret base token and remove the rest. Place the mothership on the anomaly location opposite of the secret base sector. Now at the beginning of each round, before the other players, the mothership moves 1 hex towards the nearest space station. The game continues in this manner until a player has triggered an endgame condition or the mothership is within weapons range of a space station. In combat, the mothership's drones attack the player's ship in range using 2 combat patterns per player in games with 3 or fewer players, or 1 combat pattern per player in games with 4 or more players. During combat, the mothership gets to reuse its combat patterns for up to 3 rounds of combat. The mothership can be boarded like any other ship. Crews of Eridanus can be played solo. Rules are kept the same as multiplayer, with the following changes. During setup, first place 1 pirate token on Arnetta Station and 1 wreck token on A40. Next, roll 2 d6s and refer to this chart and place a pirate token and a wreck token on different hexes each after each result. Reroll as necessary until all 5 pirates and 5 wreck tokens have been placed. You start with 1 captain and with 2 cadets. Then only deal 4 crew cards per station. Remove the rest of the crew cards from the game. During gameplay, you instead get 5 movement points, and your maximum movement is now 10. And during the end phase, the rogue AI uses 2 combat patterns per round and aren't able to reuse their combat patterns in a round. This concludes the video rulebook to Crews of Eridanus. For more information about this game, please visit the publisher's website at dakotarechgames.com. The Cardboard Stacker likes to thank the publisher of the game for sponsoring this video. Thanks! And thank you for watching! If you love to learn more games, come check out our channel, subscribe, and click on the bell to be the first to know when our next video comes out. I'm Ferdinand the Cardboard Stacker, and I'm here to remind you to keep on stacking games.